following breaking news at this hour concerning the shooting death of a St. Pete police officer, David Crawford.
We want to listen now.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chuck Harmon. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of St. Petersburg, and I'm here today to give you an update on what we know so far. First of all, I want to express our appreciation to the community that's stood behind us after our tragedy back in January and continues to support us today. They've been wonderful, and we certainly appreciate it. We do have a little bit of an update on a description that we'd given out earlier. We're currently looking for what is described as a black male, late teens to early 20s. He's supposed to stand about 5'9", of very slender build. And last night, when he was wearing clothes, he was wearing dark shorts that extended below the knee, white socks, and some Nike flip-flops. We hope to have some pictures of the flip-flops that we've recovered so that we may show you those today. There's been an outpouring of support not only from our agency but from others. Many of you know the FBI has offered a $50,000 reward, and we have well over $100,000, we believe now, offered for the capture of this suspect. We're still asking the community to help us if they would dial 893-7780 with any information they can provide to help us catch this suspect. We are concerned about our officer safety as well as the community safety because of the suspect's actions last night. As you remember or recall, there was a exchange of gunfire between Officer Crawford and the suspect last night. We have no certain forensic evidence that the suspect was injured, but it's certainly a possibility. And if he is seeking aid in our community somewhere, I just want to throw a word of caution, whether he's injured or not, that those that are harboring him or will continue to harbor him at this particular point may well face charges themselves. We're going to use every resource at our disposal in a relentless effort to bring the suspect to justice. We're committed to doing that, whether it be short-term or long-term. We're optimistic that somebody out there knows something and can help us solve this, and we're going to do everything that we possibly can. We had several roads blocked off, perimeter points. I will tell you that my folks have been going hard since last night, door to door, doing area searches, doing building searches, and responding to every single tip that's come in to us so far. And we will continue to do that. So if you believe that you have information, please contact us again at 893-7780. As I stated last night, this has been very painful for us, but it doesn't deter our determination to bring this suspect to justice. We have a lot of people working very hard and very long to do just that. It's apparent from looking into the eyes of the men and women who work here that they're committed to doing what's necessary to do that task. We're torn between grieving and our job and our mission. And everybody's committed to the mission at this point. Although we're grieving, and like I said, it hurts, we will continue to pull full steam ahead into trying to find this suspect and bring him to justice. So again, at this time, I would like to turn it over to Mayor Bill Foster for a few comments, and then I'll take some questions.
Thank you, Chief. The question I've been getting the most the past few hours is, how does a city get through this? When you look at the totality of the circumstances over the past 30 days, how does a city get through this? And there's no simple answer. You do it with training. You do it leaning on each other. You do it relying upon a very great community and great leadership out there. And you do it with faith. I would like nothing more than to put law enforcement out of business. And yet we know that at every corner evil lurks. And we know that with this evil, we need peacemakers. And we rely upon our peacemakers to enforce the laws to keep us safe. Officer Crawford was just that peacemaker. So you dig deep and you rely upon your faith, because you know that the testing of your faith does develop perseverance. So I spent countless hours praying, because I know that this city is now being embraced by a loving God. This community, this law enforcement community, and of all of its people, we're being embraced today. I want to thank this wonderful community for this outpouring of support, of love, of prayer. We feel it. We know that it's coming. And we know that in this community, we have great young people. We have great young adults. And somebody knows something. Somebody knows the guy next door who wears socks with flip-flops. Somebody knows something. And we're going to rely upon the community's help. We're going to rely upon tips. And we're going to follow up on each and every one of them so that this person will be apprehended and brought to justice. So we have a wonderful law enforcement community. It's a family. We have multiple agencies out there helping us and assisting us, and I want to thank them personally for assisting us in this endeavor. We're in uncharted territory. As a mayor, even as a chief, it's uncharted what we've gone through since January 24th through last evening. But we're a resilient community, we're a loving community, and we have some of the greatest professionals, the men and women of the St. Petersburg Police Department. And they will not rest. I know they will not rest until this suspect is brought in. So I want to thank everybody, this community, for their prayers and support. And together we will get through this. And together we will be a stronger St. Petersburg. God bless you.
Just a few things. I do want to say our city council is here almost to a person. I want to thank them for their continued support, and not only today, but last night at the hospital, many of them showed up and offered their kind words and expressions. We have great city leadership, and I'm proud to be part of that. I got a question I promised I would answer as soon as I could last night, and that was the question of a vest, a bulletproof vest. Officer Crawford was not wearing a vest last night. Our policy basically states that each officer is required to have one, but we do leave some discretion in the officer's hand, given the climate that we work in, to whether or not they choose to wear the vest. But we do mandate that they possess one. So that question was asked. I won't go into detail about where actually he was shot or injured at this particular point, because that's known only to a few people. And at this point, I'll be glad to take any questions that you all have.
Chief, how much confidence do you have that this guy is still in your perimeter, and how long do you hold that perimeter?
Well, we're going to hold that perimeter until we reach and knock on every door, and until we search every possible area that a human being could be in. And however long that takes, that's the answer. But that's our mission right now.
Chief, his counting reports that there were cars seen leaving the area by some windows this man went ridden out. You think he still ran out, sir?
Well, we're not sure. Given the time lapse and what we secured last night, is it possible that he would have got outside our perimeter? That's possible. But there's also a good chance, in knowing our field and our profession, that somebody will seek a hiding spot and hunker down. And we're going to make sure there's no hiding spots that haven't been looked at. So
Chief, even your refined description of the suspect still fits hundreds of people. How important is it, as the mayor referenced, that you get that tip or that information from the public that identifies this person?
Well, it's going to be critical for us. I'm going to ask you all to stay around. We're in the process of bringing some pictures of the actual flip-flops that we recovered. We would ask that maybe you could get those out for us. And I believe later on this afternoon, we think we have a video that may be of interest that could help us identify a suspect. So again, we'll be providing that as soon as that's ready to go out, probably later on this afternoon.
Chief, what can you tell us about Officer Crawford as a person?
Well, I've known Dave ever since he's been here, the 25 years. He was an honorable man. He was a family man. He was one that would sometimes come up with an idea. He was the first one that ever approached me about the mounted unit. He lives in Brooksville area. He loves horses, And it was kind of funny, the story about him coming out and actually suggesting that. And then about 2 months later, he had gotten hurt on a horse, and he says, well, scratch that idea, Chief. I'm not really interested in that. But Dave was one that spent most of his career on the midnight shift. That's where he enjoyed working. That's what he enjoyed doing. I know he loves people, especially the people that he worked with, and care for them deeply. And we're going to miss him.
And he also is apparently particularly good at working on domestic violence cases as well.
Yeah, he had a knack for being able to talk with people, and you know, you don't ever prepare for something like what happened last evening. He's, like I said, this is no new officer. This is somebody that's been out there who's had literally thousands of contacts with individuals in similar circumstances, and has walked away every time. But you never know when that last contact is going to turn out the way that it did. Like I said, it hurts, it stings, but we're going to get through it, and the best that we can.
Chief, you referenced right away the policy on wearing vests. Is that something you may revisit, and can you talk a little bit more about why it is left up to the officer's discretion whether or not they want to wear it?
Well, the vest over the years, when I first came on, obviously they weren't too comfortable. They're getting better. They're getting a little lighter weight. They're doing stuff. Would it have averted this tragedy? It may have had an impact, but it may not have. So given the climate, of the humidity and the heat that we have here, it's sometimes hard to mandate something like that, I feel. I will certainly say that it's worth looking at again and talking about. And we're going to learn after this incident what we could do better, what we could do different. You always take an opportunity in these situations to do. And I'm certainly not saying that David did anything wrong. We have a suspect out there that intentionally shot and killed a police officer, and that may have not changed given any circumstances or any training. So, but we'll certainly, as we do in any case that we review, we'll look at it and see.
Chief, also, I understand that Officer Crawford was eligible for retirement. In light of what's happened over the last month, is there a concern, if you had a second to even pause for a second, that you may lose some valuable officers that will say, you know what, maybe I should just retire right now? What type of long-term concerns do you have? Somebody may make an individual decision. I don't believe that's going to be a concern. The men and women who work here are committed to this profession. They're committed to service. You get in this job knowing that there's a risk, that every day you put on that badge and that gun, that there's something that can happen to you. Now, we've had a terrible set of tragedies in the last 3 weeks, but it's been 30 years since we've lost another officer prior to that. And, so for an agency our size, looking at around the country and other things, we've been surprisingly, I don't want to call it lucky, good, skillful. I don't know if it's training. We have been up until recently. But again, we're going to look, listen, and learn and see what we can do better to improve that. But I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Chief, were there any witnesses to the shooting, and can you give us any better idea of how it unfolded?
I can't